Hey guys, hope everyone's having a good weekend. Welcome to another video. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to discuss the hype behind the next gen gaming. To preface the conversation, I just want to announce that I've been a huge fan of gaming ever since the N64 days, so I want to take a crack at the latest generation of gaming and make some serious predictions about where it's headed in the next 5 to 10 years. Oh, I left a little bit of gameplays up so you can see how terrible I am, but don't let that be the judge of my experience as a whole. Stick around, and I got some great stuff to say. I want to make this a multi-part series, and that means we're only going to be confined to discussing the hardware side of things to come. But that said, there's still a lot to discuss, so feel free to chime in down in the comments section so I know what everyone's planning to buy this holiday season. Let's start the debates off with the PS5. So, what is in the overall package of the PS5? We have an 825 gigabyte SSD, blazing fast, of course, and an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive. But you know, we're not going to be watching movies on those things. We're going to be gaming, right? We have a Zen 2 computer chip, clocked in around 3.5 gigahertz per core, and an RDNA 2 GPU, clocked in around 2.2 gigahertz, max frequency, give or take. Now, this is all good stuff, but let me just emphasize, this is really special because for the first time, we're going to be seeing super fast load times unlike ever before in a previous generation, and we don't have to wait that long to enjoy the games that we love. Now, games obviously, are going to load faster. That's a given. That's the most important takeaway of this whole discussion. The SSD, short for solid state drive, for those who don't know, is at the heart of the experience. You have to remember that as games get prettier and prettier, there's inherently a positive correlation to load times. So more details means more waiting. So in this case, the opposite's going to be true. So I'm going to be impressed that we're moving away from hard drives, because another generation of hard drives and it would have been unbearable. From experience, I've realized that something like an 825 gigabyte SSD, not hard drive, it's not going to be enough to last through the whole console generation. I'm expecting all next-gen games 2 to 3 years from now to have like a minimum of 100 gigabyte download sizes. And now that's not even including the updates. That's going to be my first prediction of the day. So, ladies and gents, you write down somewhere. Just as a reminder, you're going to need to invest in additional storage. There can't possibly be a way around it. Let's jump to the Xbox Series X for just 1 second. Picture everything that I just mentioned as far as specs go. That's going to be true for the Xbox, as they are going to be true for the PS5. Faster load times, fast processing power. However, the Xbox is going to give you an advertised of 1 terabyte of storage as opposed to 825 gigabytes. So keep that in mind. You're never getting the full terabyte. You're only getting what is available after updates and operating systems are factored in. So for Xbox, maybe a little less than 900 gigabytes. And let's say for the PS5, maybe 700 gigabytes, give or take. That means that you have to set aside some money, because these additional storage upgrades go for a minimum of $200, depending on the size of the SSD you're looking into. I'm making another prediction now. Storage prices over the next 2 to 5 years are going down significantly. That doesn't mean like in the near future, a year or two, you're going to see $100 for 1 terabyte of SSD. And that's not taking into account the supply aspect, because now everyone is going to be shopping for SSDs. That just means that the more mainstream product becomes, the more scales of production improve to match the growing demand, which drives the cost of producing an SSD down. Alright, So, what have we discussed so far? Speed is at the heart of the next generation. Everything loads faster to keep up with the prettier games, which in turn means what? Games are going to get bigger and bigger because now developers don't have to preoccupy themselves with how much needs to resolve itself on screen at any given time. Games are going to be constantly updating over their lifespan, and we're seeing that now. For example, like Call of Duty Warzone is constantly updating to a bigger and bigger file size, and now I think it's so big, in fact, that it won't fit on a traditional 256 gigabyte SSD anymore. People don't like waiting around for updates, so I'm thinking background downloads are going to be at the forefront of the next generation to reduce the amount of idle time between the gamer and their experience. So here's my third prediction for the day: a heavy reliance on background downloading, much heavier than you see now. So I'm predicting that as we're playing, say FIFA 21, you'll spy maybe 5 or 6 games downloading an update in the background at high bandwidth to almost appear visible, evolving each time you boot up another game. So games will feel new without, that added price tag hike. But that's, ultimately, that's not to say price tag hikes aren't priced into the future of gaming. So this is where I really wanted to get to. This is going to be the big one, as far as I can see for now. Unless I come up with another one. I am expecting games to cost $70 at minimum in the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, gaming is going to be more luxury than it's been in the past. Microtransactions, as we see them today, aren't going to be able to sustain the business model enough to keep prices down unless every gamer were to buy, at least 1 or 2 cosmetic items. There's no way it's a viable alternative to a traditional base cost hike. So let's factor that into the cost of the hardware, right? I don't mean to sound so bleak, but figure that the next gen costs, $499 for buried entry, then another $69.99 for an additional controller, while the other may be charging, or your friend maybe wants to jump in, wants to try out a game that you're playing. And then, and of course, an additional $69.99 to experience the next gen title. So, overall, that's $638.98. And don't forget that we already discussed that an additional storage option will be necessary, like in any console generation prior. And you're looking at a minimum of $838.98. So, barring the cost of a new TV to take advantage of the 4K and a new sound system to relish in the audio technical side, and that's really what I want to drive home to everyone. Next gen is a luxury that some of us will have to save up for. Some of us at some point in time may have to sit down and realize that we can't afford it. And this is going to be the sacrifice that we're going to have to make. But, as it is, I love talking predictions, not just because I want to be right, at least I hope I have a good understanding to share, but because I want to keep my folks, my fans out there informed. I, for one, have a gaming desktop, right? And it's serving me really well. It's a Corsair one with 32 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabyte SSD, 2080 Ti, which was the best at the time, now not so much, and a 9900K Intel computer chip. It was great for its time, remember, but it's still great now, and I consider it to be my next-gen gaming platform. I don't necessarily need an Xbox Series X or a PS5, frankly, because the hardware is so similar. But despite that, I still want one. I just want to know what it costs and what I'm getting myself into. But for those that are PC gamers, I just want you to understand that now necessarily you don't have to jump in right away. You can wait. There isn't a blockbuster feature that has to have you on board immediately. Alright, so I just want to close out by saying that next time I really want to open up the discussion a little bit more than I did now and include games as well. So tune in each week to see my next gen predictions on that. Every console generation, remember, it lasts between like give or take 5 to 10 years, so it's safe to say this will be an investment in the future. But don't be worried about not getting your console of choice on day one, because there's always going to be more. And for that matter, special promotional consoles that will have even better specs. You might see a Final Fantasy 16 console with a 2 terabyte SSD for Xbox or PlayStation that will be irresistible in form and function down the road. Just always think about the long term and what that looks like, and stay informed. My question for you, though, is what console are you picking up? A bonus question would probably be how much have you already invested in upgrading your current setup to take advantage of the next gen? You know, this is going to be huge. We're just a little over a week away from the big launch, and consoles are going to sell out fast. So you got to think about the big holiday rush and getting in early, and you know, what are you going to get for Christmas or the holidays in general? And it's going to be hard to find some of these consoles. But I hope everyone has a great week until then, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Echo 3-1 to Watcher.
Alex, what happened?
Terrorist attack. Multiple Marines KIA. Gas stolen. We need evac now.
Roger.